This is going to be another easy, great week, guys. Hello, welcome, welcome to Elevated Astrology. I am your host, Natalie, spelled N-A-T-A-L-E-E. There's only one person on the planet who may call me otherwise. She knows who she is. This is going to be a great week, you guys. This is going to be leading up to the Scorpio full moon happening on the 12th. So that's next Monday. And basically, it's Mercury and it's Mars. As you can tell from the title, that is going to be the main focus. In a nutshell, what I'll tell you is that if you've been coming out of these retrogrades stronger, more self-confident, with more clarity from fall 2024 to now, you're going to do just fine. You got through the end of April, which was testy, but you had the strength to get through the testiness. Or that's the elevated astrology, or people are going to get swept in by the wave again. The wave's gonna, and they if they didn't truly learn sincerely from the retrogrades. So if any of it was performative, or if they were misplacing their energies, and you can maybe duct tape it a little bit going down the road, but when you really run out of it all, then well, it just comes apart. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what you can expect this week. Now, this is elevated astrology, so I'm going to tell you guys the higher end of the spectrum from the spiritual splitting that's also been a part of this, because this is how you're going to have people living in completely different realities, like right next to each other. It's going to be getting more and more and more divergent. Elevated astrology is the higher end of the spiritual split. If you're interested in anything having to play with your reality, alternate realities, timelines, timeline jumping, timeline shifting, lucid dreaming, astral projection, telekinesis, remote viewing, Patreon is where you really belong, because there's all of the exercises and all of the education and all of the information and additional access to me that I get to help you with these things. Oh, I forgot. Readings are on discount. I'm calling it Mud a Month discount. So this will be available for an extended time for you guys for the readings. If you want to book with me in the Stan Store, link down below, just because I feel like that just accommodates more muddas out there. So if you're a mudda, or if you just want the mudda discount, I think this might be a good window for me to host my, maybe this will be like an annual thing, mudda months readings discounts. Anyway, so if anyone's at all interested, that's called energy work, energy mastery. And from this perspective, do we see astrology? That's the positive polarity of perspective, where reality doesn't happen to me, it happens from me. Okay. So all of the other astrology, all the other branches, all the things are from the negative perception of polarity, which is what everything else is looking at everything else from, which is that you are affected by stuff, and that things are separate, and that everything and everyone is separated from you, and that you get affected by these separate things, like planets, for instance. So links are all in the description box below for anyone interested in learning more. Feel free to ask questions here. I'll answer them as well. Okay. So like I said, if you came out of the retrogrades, if you're coming out of the retrogrades with more confidence, more self-appreciation, more self-worth, more self-value, or with more clarity, you're going to make the most of this particular week as we build up towards a Scorpio full moon. Those retrogrades were supposed to show you what you need to get rid of and phase out about yourself, within yourself, but also in all the areas of life that these retrogrades have covered, but very specifically the Pisces and Aries areas of your life, as well as fortify and strengthen all of the best parts and even things that you lost from the past. or lost over time. Could have been a resurgence, could have been a personal renaissance of something returning to you, something ancient coming back to life for you to reintegrate into your life, to take with you as you build out the new, your Camelot, your future state, your new normal, your thing. Because now, May and June, now things can move forward in a way that's more comfortable, that for whatever reason, everything had to just stop at the end of last year. So that's making gains. This week, you can make some gains. You can get some permit approvals. Things can just fall into place. But it's because you have the clarity that you didn't have in November, December 2024, or the strength, or the self-appreciation, or the relationships, or the quality materials, or the connection to this thing, or whatever. So that's why, like, it needed to be real, it needed to be authentic, it needed to be sincere, whatever you were learning. And for the people that may have experienced loss that last week of April with the Saturn energy being so strong, even that loss came with a lesson. There was something to learn about the delay, the denial, the no, the not right now, or whatever it was. So it's like I said, you're either going to be gaining and being able to move from that empowered place because it's real, because you really did do the work and you really did let and allow the Mercury retrogrades to take something off the table that wasn't meant for you, to give you the clarity of sight so that you weren't going down like a dead end path. That's what Mercury retrograde's for, is to say, nope, you thought it was this, but it's actually going to be this. You thought it was here, it's actually going to be there. You thought it would. So it's a course correction. So these course corrections, people either really resisted or really leaned into and made the most of consciously. That Mars retrograde we've been working on in the Patreon since since the end of last year. That's your overview. That's how you're coming into the week. And that's what you have to start with. That's what you have to work with. Because by the end of the week, when the moon enters Scorpio, and it's going to be the full moon vibes, I don't know what to tell you. So let's go ahead and continue to break this down day by day. Monday, the 5th of May. So you're coming off of the quarter moon in Leo that was on Sunday. And this whole past weekend, for some people, was so happy and exciting, so much fun. And for other people, it was like a shit show. It was like consequences. Oh my God. And it was a whole big thing. So basically, over this past weekend, like May the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, with the quarter moon and other things happening, that's when the new moon seeds of the Taurus new moon that you planted a week before that started to show you, like, what of the seeds that you planted, you scattered around, some are growing into strong little seedlings, and some are like wilting and like dying, and they're weak, and they're like, I don't know, maybe they're malformed, maybe they're like 𝚑𝚘𝚎𝚎 or something. And so it's like over the weekend, you did the culling, where you're like, okay, I'm going to continue to put effort into these little seedlings that are already like strong, and their roots are gotta get in a hold, and I'm going to stop watering and feeding 𝚑𝚘𝚎𝚎s. So as you're coming into Monday, the quarter moon cullings, it's like, now that's what every quarter moon, waxing, gaining in light quarter moon, every single month is. This is part of the cycle of life. Every new moon, a week later, you get the quarter moon. Okay. So Monday, from the quarter moon cullings, you're coming into the morning with this fiery, the moon's void until about 12:39. The last aspect was like a trine to Chiron in Aries and a square to Uranus in Taurus. And basically, once this happens, so the morning and then going into 12:39 PST, the vibe is more like having to reconcile that a little bit, having to get ready, lay the clothes out for the next day, having to sort of like, I feel like you kind of know a little bit of what you're walking into on Monday because you were part of making it in such a way. But this is a transitional period. We're transitioning more so from like the past and the retrograde waves of nostalgia and confusion and misdirection and bad behavior into the sobriety and the clarity and the passion and the focus of building out the new that we really want, that we actually want, not a want that was told to us that we should want by society or the environment we grew up in or parental conditioning or subconscious loyalty to whatever, what we really want. For those of us that have been brave enough to really let that be seen, let yourself observe your own truth. I hope people take on a new perspective on facing their fears. All you'll ever find is more of yourself when you do that. It's kind of dramatic. Sunday night coming into Monday morning, 12:39 when the moon enters Virgo. I feel like that's just really ordering things the way that you like it, the way that you want it for a few days. Monday, the big highlight though is at 10:12, Mercury sextiles Jupiter from Aries to Gemini. This is Mars and Mercury really fueling the week. So whatever that decision is, the information is, the person, the new information, the conversation that happens, the affirmation, the approval, the news, the directions, the planning, the communicating, the planning, the handing off the logistics to somebody else, like whatever that is, that's going to set the tone for the rest of the week. That it's like almost like a mini project or like a mini movie in a movie, like with Mercury having that pass off to Jupiter, and then they're going to be working through it until Mercury enters Taurus at the end of the week. Tuesday, the 6th of May at 18:47, we have Mercury conjoining Chiron in Aries. So this is like the last big thing that Mercury is going to do before they leave Aries, which was a big deal, Mercury being in Aries, because Mercury went retrograde. But not only went retrograde through Pisces, station direct, come back through Aries, but there was a solar eclipse here. Mercury was involved really close to it was like a 𝚑𝚕𝚗𝚎, it was like a whole big thing. So I feel like this Mercury Chiron connection is for some people like a final healing of something that's just been so nebulous and so difficult to untangle for the past few months, that someone's finally able to release something because they have the clarity about it. For some people, it's giving voice to something. It's giving a voice to the wounding, the healing, the bravery. This could be sharing something about, I don't know how I got through this. This is how I got through this. This is a pain point for me right now. Or if it's on like the healing, this could be speaking like words of affirmation. This could be having like a really important conversation. It doesn't even have to be emotional. So with this, with Chiron and Aries, it's about healing the wounds related to bravery or being the first or being the only or being single, being alone, being the pioneer, being the original, and even going after the fears of being self-focused. Aries gets a bad rap for being selfish and self-centered and self-focused. That's the nature. That's what Aries is supposed to be. We all have Aries in our chart, and that focus on the self is positive. That's a positive thing. It doesn't deserve a negative judgment. There's nothing wrong with being self-aware, being self-focused. So I feel like for some people, this could even be healing some kind of wound or assuaging some kind of wound where they were made to feel guilty for thinking about themselves. They were made to feel guilty for not putting someone else first. They were made to feel like they were all in their ego for being brave and taking a chance at something, or they were ashamed for being ambitious. You know what I'm saying? Like there's something that could reopen that wound and just go on stay on the carousel. You guys know my favorite analogy there is just pick a different horse on the carousel. Some people are not really ready to heal, so they pick a different horse on the carousel. So for some people, it's going to be that, but for some people, I feel like it's going to be because it's at the end of its transit and it's been a long transit. I feel like it's going to be, even if there is wounding, even if there is pain, it's like, I gave it my best shot. Tried to please your, narcissistic parent that is forever unpleasable, and they're like sick beyond something, and you're the one that has to let go of some kind of attachment to making someone else happy. And like, you know what I'm saying? There's some kind of thing where you're either really releasing the hold that it had on you to feel insecure about whatever, or some people are just going through it again. Wednesday looks really fun, the 7th of May. We basically have the moon in Virgo. So now that the moon's in Virgo from, when was that? Like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's when we're going to be like the circumstances and things that are coming up. We want to put things in order in our lives. We want things, that's what I'm going to say, like just make things how you like it. You're going to be very much like, I need to fix this. I need to file this. Whenever you're like procrastinating, like, oh, I'll put that off another day, another time. The moon goes through Virgo, that's the one thing you want to do with your time. There's no other priority except taking care of those things. Otherwise, they're just going to bother you in an anxious, nagging type of a way. So I feel like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, people are just really going to want to take care of things, put things in order, put things in their places where they belong, make sure this is in through at the deadline, make sure these people have been contacted, make sure this has been filed, those kinds of things. So Wednesday, the moon is actually going to conjoin the South Node in Virgo. For some people, this will be a release of how they thought something was, a release of, it's almost like they got one detail wrong and it changed a whole story for them. And so someone comes over, a friend of the family members comes over to bring some new information, or they see something online and it changes their entire frame of what they thought was happening, of what they thought was going on, of what they thought, what I thought. No. You didn't know. You really didn't know what you thought. You're believing these thoughts as like they're facts, but you made some assumption and you skipped over that and then just accepted it as fact. And this is the information, the connection, the person, something you're seeing to bring you that information that is correcting that little leap of an assumption that you made, that you glossed over. It's like that, like Virgo energy. It's like, no, you missed this little pebble in your shoe step of a thing that is really big and important, but you overlooked it because the devil's in the details. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday could also be a little bit like that for people, where they're getting these things popping up that need to get taken care of. Hopefully, what you want to do from the quarter moon over the weekend is put your energy and your resources into the little seedlings that are showing strength, that are growing. Because you could make the choice to put into FERTs, but like you don't have to. You can, you don't have. I'll stop. I'll move on to a different example. But that's just basically what it is that Wednesday you can let that happen, let yourself be corrected, let the information affect you organically. and just let it go. Even about your own feelings, like I thought I felt like this, but no, I definitely feel like this. Like, can you accept that? You know, like whatever it happens to be for people. For some, this is just like a timing thing. Someone might feel like the time is now, right now, or tomorrow, or later, or next week, or next month. Like some people might just feel it's the moon meeting its own node on the downbeat, on the plane of the ecliptic. So it's like nostalgia, something familiar coming back from the past, that or something just that feels good, or it could even be a reassurance in some cases. Like, I forgot I knew that. My bestie. You know, it could feel something familiar and really, really nice. Thursday, the 8th of May at 10:21, we have the moon now in Libra. Overnight from Wednesday to Thursday, the moon went from Virgo to Libra. Thursday morning, we have the moon in Libra opposing Venus in Aries, but making a sextile to Pluto in Aquarius retrograde. So you want to now reflect on relational issues, or even some kind of like valuation of something, like valuation of assets and relationships and situations and circumstances, to feel out and figure out like what relational issues need balancing, need addressing. Because of the Mars Pluto opposition, and then the T-square that got activated April going into May, and the Saturn pressure, which you don't want to take your foot off the pedal of Saturn in Pisces. You still want to stabilize the Pisces area of life. Now that things are moving forward, don't forget about that. We only have a couple weeks of Saturn and Pisces. Don't forget, trust me. Don't sleep on it. Don't forget about that. So Thursday is a great day to reflect on the new power dynamic that's taking shape now, and feel out where the relationships need balancing, or they may not need balancing. They may just be so fun and enjoyable, and you've already done the heavy lifting of balancing them, and now you're just enjoying them. And there is no power struggles. There's no, you think I should do this with my life and I want to do this, like, you know, or whatever, you know, there's nothing like that there. So it really is like, I also like Thursday for games when you're in those right connections and relationships, because they just feed each other and there's no drain or like tiredness. There's just sparkly, fizzy energy exchange. And Friday, the 9th of February, is the last day of Mercury in Aries. The only thing going on, the moon in Libra will be building towards a trine to Jupiter in Gemini at the end of the night. Last day of Mercury in Aries. I feel like because we started the week with that Mercury-Jupiter sextile, and then we're ending the week on Friday with Mercury, the last day in Aries, and then the moon connecting to that Jupiter. This is like the final approvals, negotiations, closeouts, connecting, paperwork, filings, onboardings, wrapping it up, conversations, meetings. There's definitely going to be new people, new situations, new circumstances that, because now they're moving forward with whatever's falling into place, because they couldn't fall into place because we needed 45 million years of retrogrades from the end of February. Now that it's moving forward, it means that there's new things, there's new people, situations, circumstances, information, materials, or you can go back and make progress on something. But there will be new different things and elements about it. So I feel like Friday with the last day, Mercury in Aries, very blunt, to the point, matter of fact, instigating, wanting to start things, probably wants to finish it out, wants it to be like locked and loaded. This is set. Okay, good job of wrapping it up, and we'll pick this up Monday, but this is what it's going to be moving forward. So I feel like Friday is like when we know, oh, well, there's going to be an announcement Monday, or oh, I feel like Friday is probably the day when some people know, or the couple's like, okay, we're going to tell everybody on Monday, or like, it's going to be something kind of like that. But Friday is when it all like, Saturday, the 10th of May at 5:17, Mercury moves into Taurus. Once Mercury moves into Taurus, we're like playing for keeps. We're not, it's not frivolous. It's about only when things are really secure can you go crazy and be really like Dennis Rodman wild. But it depends about Mercury and Aries wrapping it up and tying it all up. When Mercury moves into Taurus, then it's about stabilizing and embedding and securing the asset, locking down the thing, making something routine, getting something, getting people the things that they're going to need every day to do this thing. Like it's going to be very, not like a factory, not like a rotational thing or like a Ford factory, but just it's going to be about establishing the new routines, the new regular things, it's like, okay, you're being introduced to the little cubicle, and this is going to be the same little pathway you walk to the bathroom whenever you have to use the bathroom. The 11th of May on Sunday has just one thing going on at 10:39. The moon in Scorpio squares Mars in Leo. That is very motivating. I feel for us, for elevated astrology, for the spiritual split where we're like in Camelot. For other people, they're going to be stewing. They're going to be stewing. They're going to be stewing about something. Because you can just wait out retrogrades. Or some people can just keep putting things off with their words and keep, just having something to say and being defensive. Whenever they're held accountable to something, they just get defensive. And then maybe they wait them out, and then they don't talk to them for a while, and they get someone to miss them, and then they try to move on like nothing happened, and then something else happens, and then someone tries to say, oh, well, you said, oh, well, no, and then they get defensive again, and then they go off to like, someone can, or people can be, like I said, very bad behavior on retrogrades. So coming out of the retrogrades, the consequence is that everybody else moves on except you. You don't move on because you didn't let go of the ugly feelings of Mars and Cancer. You are not moving on because you didn't drop the problem. You didn't extract the toxin when Venus was retrograde in Pisces. Everyone will move on and build out the new except you, because you did not change your mind during the Mercury retrograde like you were supposed to. So that's going to be very visible in people. You can't hide that kind of a thing. That's what the energy doesn't lie. Okay. People's subconscious energy is always pushing out in physical things, physical mannerisms, the physicality. So Sunday, 10:39, like I said, people are either going to be motivated, and there's nothing that can stop them from going to work out because they love working out so much, or whatever they like love to do, whatever the passion is, whatever. The retrogrades have cleared the junk, the gunk, the distractions off your plate so that you can focus on the actual thing that is fun for you, that brings you joy, that you're passionate about. And then some people are going to be stewing because and then on the 12th of May, on Monday, we have the Scorpio full moon. And then not even an hour later, Mercury squares Pluto. It's going to be dramatic. It's going to be very entertaining. It's going to be very deep. There's like I said, the energy doesn't lie. So I'm just going to say, stay motivated, stay really excited, stay focused on your lane, your thing, and be grateful that the retrogrades took off so much sludge. Because that strength, remember what we said about the butterfly and the cocoon? The strength that it takes the butterfly to break out of the cocoon is the same strength it needs to fly. Now that strength is getting put to the test this week. So you should have an easy week this week. It should be easy because of everything you've learned. Now you're flexing those muscles because those people that didn't get it with the corrections of the retrogrades, they're not going to have the strength to get through the spring and summer and fall and beyond. They have to go back and take that class over again. And who wants to do that? But I mean, they can't help themselves. People cannot help themselves. So we'll see. We'll see what that looks like. And then you make your decisions moving forward because it doesn't matter. Don't care about what anyone else's path looks like. You just got to worry about your own path. So don't, if someone else is crashing over the waves and the waves is just mangling their little bodies, that's their path that they chose. They're making that decision. Don't take the option of free will away from them and save them from the consequences of their decisions. Boundaries. That's more reflective of where you are, holding yourself back through your perceived attachment to someone else and their path and their journey. This perception really changes when you start doing energy work. You see all that stuff completely differently. And everything becomes easier. Once you realize the hologram, the matrix, when you pop in and out of realities, it's a whole different experience of life and the way you move through your life. So you can try Patreon for free for 1 week for the trial period. Start with the beginning of phenomena, scroll through some videos, see what you're interested in, see if you get it, if you like it. Let me know if you have any questions, and have an amazing week because this is going to be a great week of building more momentum. And you have the strength from the retrogrades under your belt, and it's going to be the strength that you use to create your new future. Love you guys. Take very good care. Continue to enjoy being beautiful and magical and all of the lovely things. Enjoy building out this week. I will see you guys again very shortly. We have those readings and those downloads to unpack from the chalice, from tarot messages later on this week. I will see you in a few days. Until then, my loves, many beautiful blessings upon all of your beautiful heads, darlings. Mwah.